We're going to talk all about eating. And for Ho-Ho, he's quite a restricted eater. He likes steamed egg, steamed rice. There's a few other foods he'll eat, but it's very restricted. Every time that mum tries to introduce a different food, anything like a meat or vegetables, he's not going to eat it. And what she needs to do is that she needs to sort of put the vegetables or little bits of beef on the spoon and then cover it with rice so he thinks he's only eating rice, and then kind of feed him while he's kind of watching an iPad when he's quite distracted. So we wanted to find out what normally happens during mealtime. As soon as he sees that piece of meat on the spoon, he's out of there. He's going to try to run away, become very, very difficult. And that's why mum hides all of the food. Problem with that is when you start hiding food, two things happen. One is the kids don't really know they're eating it and maybe just as equally resistant the next time you introduce it. The other thing is sometimes kids realize you're starting to hide food and then they become more suspicious. They'll start, refusing to eat things because they're worried it's got something inside it, or they will start to, get a thing to try to look inside. We want to be honest about what they're going to eat and have them really okay with eating it. And one of the most common problems I see when people are trying to deal with these kind of issues is that they try to introduce new foods at a time of the day when it's really important for the kids to eat. It's lunch, it's dinner time. And so what often happens is you introduce the food at lunch or dinner, the child is going to adamantly refuse to eat it, and then they're going to get all the food they like to eat or prefer to eat after that. So that kind of rewards the student to be more rejecting of new foods because they know that if they reject those foods, they can just get the things that they like to eat. So one of the things we changed is that as we start to introduce food to him, we're going to do it at times when it really doesn't matter. There's no pressure on us to have to feed him his meal. We're not going to be worried he's malnutrition. We're also going to use a lot of reinforcement. There's no reason why he really wants to try any new food at this point in time. So we're going to have to use some rewards to try to incentivize him to maybe try. Enable for us to achieve this, we're going to take very baby steps. So day one, we selected meat. Being, some minced meat as just being our first food because it's quite nutritious and it's a food that mum really would love him to eat. We're not getting him to eat anything. We've got our target food and we've got it on a plate. All we wanted him to do is just touch it. Our next phase was to do something fun. Now we're going to be feeding the animals. Again, it just gets him just in tune with having the food around. He's not rejecting and running away. He's just comfortable with it, being near him. We then had him pretend to eat, which means that sometimes there's bits of food there that come nearer his mouth. And that, again, is a bit awkward for him, right? I think as soon as he realized he didn't have to actually eat it, he was totally fine with that. The next phase would, as when we go up to pretend to eat, a little bit of the food might just touch his lip. It's a tiny exposure to the food that he might smell it or might taste a tiny, tiny bit of it on his lip. We then went to kind of having him eat something, but we didn't start with that food. We started with just the rice that he normally likes to eat and providing a lot of encouragement for him to eat that. We then started to put a little bit of the meat on the spoon with the rice. The rice is at the front of the spoon and the meat is at the back of the spoon. So when we approached him to eat this, he would still eat just the rice. But that spoon is kind of coming in and he's getting used to accepting the spoon and eating the food on the spoon, but he's not eating the meat at this point in time. We then had to move the meat even nearer to the rice so that sometimes when he bit the rice, sometimes he would get a tiny bit of meat accidentally. And that was our first phase to him sort of starting to eat that food.
今次我將啲肉咧放近啲㗎啦，望住啦，近啲肉嘅 ，OK， 好嚟啦，食飯啦，好叻喎，近咗肉都有食喎。 好叻仔，你又嚟啦！好啦，又再嚟咯喎，啲肉喺隔離㗎啦，加油！係喎，哇，好叻喎，連埋肉食喎！好，飯同肉放埋一齊啦。
Again, we're being very honest with our presentation. This is meat on the spoon that's coming near you, and he was comfortable. At some point, the meat got so close to the rice that pretty much every spoonful, he would be eating the rice and the meat at the same time. And then we got to the point where basically he would eat the whole spoon of rice and meat at the same time, wasn't bothered. We also wanted him to start to eat by himself. We stopped putting the spoon near him. We wanted him to be more independent.
叻仔，食得好好啊！食埋佢啦。係啦。哇，好醒目喎！食完啦，好勇敢啊你！搞掂，好大粒肉都自己食到喎，好叻啊！
And we sort of transferred all of these skills over to Mum. And so you'll see in this video, and he's just got only meat in his bowl on the spoon, and he does it straight away.
好叻仔喎！叻仔。
So eating is a very systematic process, and you need to have a lot of patience, and you have to have the child comfortable. If you start kind of like making the child eat foods they don't like, they're either going to gag it out or they're going to start to be even more resistant to trying new foods. It sets the pace for a very unpleasant experience. And I hope this video today gives you a bit of an insight as to how we did that.